A derelict ship drifts into the outer reaches of Andros Union space, its hull battered and its systems running on emergency power. The patrol unit that discovers it scans the ship's registry and finds something impossible. It predates the formation of the Union itself. When a boarding team enters, they find an eerie silence, with only emergency lights flickering in the dark corridors. At the heart of the ship, they uncover a sealed cryopod. Inside lies Captain Rylus Kine, a man in perfect preservation but wearing the insignia of a long-forgotten war. When he is revived, Kane wakes up disoriented, certain that the war with the Zephyr is still ongoing. His first words, "Where's the fleet? The war isn't over," send shockwaves through the authorities. As far as they know, no such war ever happened. His reappearance raises a terrifying question. Was history rewritten? As Kane struggles to convince Union officials that the war was real, strange phenomena start occurring. A classified research station near the outer colonies experiences a temporal rift, with part of the facility vanishing and reappearing in a ruined, overgrown state. Investigators find records of personnel that supposedly never existed. Meanwhile, Kane's presence triggers inconsistencies in historical archives. Old military logs show evidence of erased battles, and a historian studying pre-Union conflicts mysteriously vanishes after claiming to have found proof of the Zephyr. Kane warns that these distortions signal something worse, a return of the enemy that was wiped from existence. But the Union refuses to believe him. His claims are dismissed as the hallucinations of a man who has been frozen for centuries, even as more anomalies appear across the galaxy. After failing to convince Union authorities, Kane is declared a potential threat and placed under military confinement for debriefing. However, Dr. Vela Jorn, a brilliant but discredited scientist, takes an interest in him. She has spent years studying unexplained temporal shifts and believes Kane is telling the truth. When another major anomaly occurs, a section of a Union city disappearing, replaced by a Zephyr ruin, Vela helps Kane escape custody. With Union forces hunting them both, Kane and Vela flee to the outskirts of the galaxy, searching for answers before it's too late. They uncover a hidden message from an unknown source warning them. The erased are returning. Find the chrono abyss before they do. Kane and Vela travel to a restricted Union archive where records of the war should exist, if history hadn't been altered. With the help of an underground network of rogue historians and ex-military officers, they find remnants of classified documents describing battles that officially never happened. The evidence leads them to an abandoned outpost on a dead world, where they uncover a hidden facility. Inside, they find ancient data logs detailing a devastating secret. The war wasn't won. Instead, the Union used a device known as the chrono abyss to erase the Zephyr from time itself. But now, something is reversing the process, bringing the Zephyr back into reality. Worse, every timeline shift is erasing more of the present, as if history is being rewritten in favor of the enemy. With undeniable proof in hand, Kane and Vela seek to warn the Union, but it's too late. Across the galaxy, Zephyr warships materialize, from nowhere, emerging from the rifts. The Union fleet scrambles to respond but is completely unprepared for an enemy it doesn't remember. The Zephyr High Lord, an ancient warlord long thought erased, broadcasts a message across the stars. The cycle is broken. We return to reclaim what was stolen. As cities vanish and military bases are replaced with war-torn battlefields from an alternate past, Kane realizes that time itself is unraveling. The war has begun again, but the Union is defenseless. Kane and Vela track down Iskari, a lone Zephyr who appears to have resisted the temporal erasure. Iskari, once a commander of the enemy fleet, has spent decades hiding in the shadows, knowing the timeline would eventually collapse. He reveals that the chrono abyss still exists, buried in a forbidden sector of space. but reaching it is nearly impossible, as the Zephyr now control the rifts that warp time. Kane must convince an enemy to help him, forming an uneasy alliance with Iskari to retrieve the only weapon that can stop the war from consuming reality itself. As Kane and his team struggle to find the Chrono Abyss, the galaxy falls into chaos. The Zephyr begin rewriting history at an accelerated rate, entire planets shifting between timelines. The Union launches a desperate counterattack, but every engagement results in battlefields changing mid-fight, as soldiers are erased and replaced by alternate versions of themselves. Kyan realizes that the only way to stop the Zephyr is not to fight them in battle, but to prevent them from ever returning in the first place. Commander Aaron Voss, Kane's former adversary, finally acknowledges the truth. Though he once hunted Kane, he now leads the last Union fleet in a desperate battle to buy Kane and his team time to reach the Chrono Abyss. As the Union capital itself begins to shift, Voss sacrifices himself in a last-ditch effort, taking down Kine, Vela, and Iskari reach the Chrono Abyss, a massive time-altering construct hidden in the ruins of a forgotten world. The Zephyr High Lord awaits them, prepared to overwrite reality completely. In an intense battle, Kane must decide whether to use the Abyss to restore the original timeline or erase the Zephyr permanently. Kane and his team activate the Chrono Abyss, collapsing the fractured timelines. The Zephyr vanish once more, but so do Kine, Vela, and Iskari. The Union is restored, its people never knowing how close they came to oblivion. In the final scene, deep in the void of space, a distress signal flickers from an unknown region. This is Captain Rylus Kine. Is anyone out